Hello, Jean here, and welcome back. How many of you out there can name your favorite teacher or your teachers growing up? Would it have something to do with the academic skills you learned from them? Maybe, but I would venture to guess in most cases it would have something to do with how they connected with you, how they built a relationship with you. For me, it was Mrs. Smith, my kindergarten teacher, and Mrs. Locke, my fourth grade teacher. I'm not even sure what subjects I learned from them that year, but I do remember how they made me feel welcome, comfortable, and cared for each day, and often believing in me before I believed in myself. When educators take the time to build relationships with their students, they send a message that they care, and in turn create a learning environment that's safe and supportive. Doing so not only lets kids know you are invested in their learning, you're invested in them. The payback for infusing this kind of energy into your classroom is the return you'll get from your students. An overall willingness, invested effort to learn and grow from you. Those end of the year letters say it all, don't they? We can tell from those gems that we succeeded at building such relationships with our students. Keep in mind, you don't have to be everything to your students. You just have to be enough. Educators could benefit on how they rethink their relationship with their students. I think Kristen Soares, author of Foster Resilient Learners, has it right when she suggests that you seek to develop relationships that are safe enough and healthy enough, because in the end, that is really all our students need from us. She advises that when we offer students stability, reliability, and positivity in our exchanges with them, we establish a relationship that's safe enough. And if we seek to sincerely repair our interactions when needed, modeling and encouraging inappropriate behaviors, we can also foster an environment that's healthy enough for them.
In this lesson, we will share with you 7 things to consider on your journey to deepening your connections and fostering a nurturing learning environment for all your students. 1. Show up. Be a teacher your students can count on. And when you do, making sure you're aware of how you are actually showing up is pretty important. Are you showing up stressed, overwhelmed, and all about getting things done? Or do you show up happy, positive, and calm, balancing out getting the work accomplished while still connecting with kids? Trust me, you don't have to be their favorite teacher. You just need to consistently show up ready to teach, just like you want your students to show up every day ready to learn. 2. Be consistent, yet flexible. This, of course, is not a new idea. For decades, we've been talking about the importance of providing kids with consistency and structure. When we show kids with our actions that we say what we mean and we mean what we say, it creates a sense of ownership on everyone's part to think about their actions. It also gives your students a sense of predictability and safety that they can count on each time they enter your classroom. On the other hand, sometimes you need to think outside the box, have an open mind, or simply realize that even a 9-year-old might have a better way than your way. It doesn't necessarily have to mean you're wrong. It just may mean that getting to where you need to go is down a different path. Model for your students that flexible thinking is a social skill they'll need for the rest of their lives. 3. Cheer them on. Believe in our students, sometimes even before they believe in themselves, can have an enormous impact on their achievement. Students remember long after they leave your classroom whether or not you champion them to grow. As well, it's easy to point out the negative. After all, those are the encounters that bring us the most discomfort, and no one wants to experience that any more than they have to. And let's be real. Pointing out the mistakes of our students is part of the job of an educator. But when we only point out the negative, we unknowingly create an environment where the members grow unnecessarily anxious and uncomfortable. Students are less likely to take risks, and self-esteems plummet. In order to cultivate a positive classroom culture and climate, we need to make a conscious effort to acknowledge 10 positives for every negative. Recognize even the smallest of positive acts. Find creative ways to make celebrating the positives fun and engaging with recognition ceremonies, impromptu classroom celebrations, or by simply sending a note home to a parent or guardian. Recognizing the efforts, big or small, of all our students sends the message that you're aware of and value all their attempts to grow socially, emotionally, and academically. 4. Give students more than one strike you're out. Hey, look, educating kids is a walk in the park. Yeah, Jurassic Park. People, it's a jungle out there. How teachers do it these days is beyond me. Can't we just cut them some slack already? Unfortunately, that is not in my control. But what I can say is this. Just like you sometimes wish for administration or the Department of Education to get off your back, so too do your students when we get on their case about every little thing. I'm not suggesting that you let your students get away with breaking big rules. I am, however, suggesting that not every little infraction is going to bring the house down. Giving second and third chances to get it right provides you with the opportunity to maximize on those teachable moments. Hold them accountable, but do so while continuing to build the lagging skill until they get it right. Eventually, they will. 5. Be yourself. One of the best ways to get through to our students is to come from a place that's real, relatable, and realistic. Kids appreciate knowing that they're not alone in their struggles. When we're willing to show a bit of vulnerability with our students, enough to share our own SEL trials and tribulations, we create a human component that kids connect to. Your students will respect you more if you avoid acting like you're perfect. No one is perfect, so don't worry about having to be. As well, just like our students are not robots, nor are we. We will make mistakes. At some point or another, we will say or do something that is inappropriate, unkind, or insensitive. Unfortunately, there is little leeway for such human error in today's world, but keep in mind, you still have an opportunity to make a wrong right. When we admit to our students that we unintentionally lost our minds, our tempers, our patience, we let them into the secret world of teachers are humans too. But doing so, you model and demonstrate for them to own their behaviors, take responsibility for their actions, and make amends with the ones that they have wronged. This kind of example setting is one of the biggest gifts you can give a child because no doubt someday they will need to do the same. 6. Spread a little humor. The power of laughter is sometimes the best medicine. It can lighten a boring moment, turn a frown upside down, and change our tune, our attitudes, our minds. Just be conscientious on how you use humor in the classroom. Kids know when you're being silly and good-natured about your humor. Sarcasm is not humor. That can lead to the opposite of feeling safe in your classroom and can potentially put you in the hot seat with parents and administrators that you don't want to be in. 7. Make time to connect. Carving out a little time to connect is the most critical piece to building relationships with your students. Start with greetings. Nothing sets the stage for connecting with kids better than the simple act of greeting them each day. Greeting your students each day not only establishes connections, it gives your students the sense that today is a new day, a fresh start, a clean slate. Make it a daily ritual to look your students in the eye and greet them with a smile. After all, smiles are contagious, and everyone likes to feel they belong. As well, don't be afraid to ask your students how they are. For some, you may be the only one that asks. Little actions like this can go a long way to building a classroom culture and climate that counts. Educators have also found that designating time for morning meetings or end-of-the-day recaps can also help build trust and set the tone for respectful learning. It's time well spent, especially for the younger grades and into middle school. It's an opportunity for your students to greet one another daily while connecting your students to being a part of your classroom culture and climate. It offers them a chance to participate in social-emotional learning, as well gives them an occasion to reinforce those academic skills in a less structured group setting. When you design your meetings to be rich and worthy of your efforts and your students' time, you'll be sure to reap the benefits.
Today, you will now get a chance to participate in a team building activity. Hold on. Before you all start jamming in the bathroom on me, the purpose for participating in this activity is so that you can become more aware how these opportunities can naturally teach those social emotional skills in action while also fostering relationships amongst you and your students. In your guidebooks, you'll find instructions for participating in the Marshmallow Challenge, whereby you will split up into small groups and you'll have roughly 15 minutes to construct the tallest marshmallow tower out of spaghetti, tape, string, and one marshmallow. I want you to just have some fun with it, while also playing social detective, taking notes on all the SEL that happens in just this one 15-minute activity. Okay, get doing, get building, and return back for closing thoughts. Hello, did you have some fun? Sometimes these are the activities that our students remember the most, that we remember the most. Having a little fun once in a while isn't a bad thing and can be a great tool for teaching these important college and career readiness skills. All right, soapbox alert. I know some of you out there are thinking, yeah, okay, lady, like we don't already know this stuff. The problem is we have no time to give to these kinds of relationship building activities. When we are constantly bogged down by more and more to do, how are we supposed to fit all this in? Okay, I hear you. And that is the very reason I've just begun my PhD program in transformative leadership in psychology and counseling, as my ultimate goal is to help swing that pendulum around and be your voice in advocating for change. So here's your call to action. Advocate for the necessary time to be allotted in your schedules each week for that morning meeting or the end of the day recap time or get organized block. And when you can, for those SEL team building blocks. It doesn't have to be every day, but something is better than nothing. Start having those discussions with your administration and work out a schedule that meets the needs of your students both academically and socially. Mix it up, have fun, and get connecting your time to what really matters, kids. Oh, and P.S. I have also included in your guidebooks a friendly daily reminder Connect to Kids cards with lots of little ideas for raising your intentions when connecting with your students, from sharing a personal story or a time you made a mistake, to giving out 3 compliments to your students or letting a student know you believe in them. Try to use at least one Connect to Kids card each day. Okay, that's it, my frontliners. Respectfully raise your voices, and I'll see you in the next lesson.